Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you a client project tracker I built with n8n. The idea is simple. I send one normal sentence in Telegram, no commands, no format, and the workflow figure out which client I'm talking about. Updates the client Notion page, write a row in Google Sheets, and file any attachment into that client drive folder. Every morning, it sends me one message with everything that's due. But the part I actually care about is what happens when it isn't sure which client I mean. I called it Ambiguity Gate, and it's the reason I tried this thing with real client data. Let me show you how it works. Here is the first message. One sentence, written the way I'd write it to a person. The workflow pick it up, and within a few seconds, the Notion page for Sophie has new timeline entry, and Google Sheet has a new row, confidence 100%. Now, here is the interesting one. I have two clients named Ahmed. It stopped. Confidence dropped below my threshold, so it wrote nothing, not to Notion, not to Sheet. Come back and ask me which Ahmed I meant. And that's the whole point. A wrong write is silent. You find out 3 weeks later when a client asks why your timeline say something they never did. A question is loud, and it takes 4 seconds to answer. Last one, this time with an image. The caption named the client, so the file wrote itself into Ahmed Drive folder. And this is the morning digest. One message every day. The bakery site is flagged red because it's due to 2 days. The workflow is built in 4 phases. Phase 1 capture the message, Phase 2 match it to a client, Phase 3 write to Notion, Sheets, and Drive, and Phase 4 is the morning brief, which run on its own schedule. 6 tools total: Telegram, Google Sheets, Notion, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and Gemini. The workflow starts with a Telegram trigger. It listens for any message I send to my own bot. Before anything reaches the AI, there is a guard. If I sent a photo with no caption, there is no text to work with, the model would just reply asking me for the message, and the cursor would crash on it. So this node checks for text or caption first. No text, no AI call, that's failed execution at wasted token spent, that never happens. Then, the message goes to Gemini with a structured output parser attached. The schema pulls 5 fields: a client hint, a status, a blocker, a deadline, and the one clean synthesis writing for a client-facing timeline. One rule in this prompt matters more than the rest. The model is told never to correct the client name. If I type gym app, it returns gym app, not its best guess at the full company name. Correcting append is the next phase. We are right to the rules. A model that fixes your inputs is a model you can debug later. Next, this is the phase the video is really about. First, the workflow read the client roster from Google Sheet. Each row is one client, the name, any aliases, the Notion page ID, and the drive folder ID. Then, the second Gemini call running at temperature 0 with explicit scoring rules. An exact match or an alias match score 95 or above, a partial match that it fit only one client score in the 80s, a partial that could be 2 or more clients score 40 or below, and the model has to list every candidate is considered. The last line of the prompt is the one doing the work. The pessimistic because a wrong write is far worse than a question. And then, this is the gate itself. A hard threshold at 80. Above it, the workflow writes. Below it, it stop and ask me. That number is something I can't tune. It's not the model deciding how confident it feels like being today. Once a client is confirmed, this node builds one clean object with everything downstream needs: the client, the status, the summary, the Notion page ID, the drive folder ID. Notion is writing first, and Google Sheet is writing last. That order is deliberate. The Notion node is set to continue on error, with the error branch wired to a Telegram alert if a page ID is wrong or the page hasn't been shared with the integration. I hear about it immediately. And more importantly, The audit log never gets a row saying logged for something that was never actually written. Most people put the log first because it's easier. Then their logs lies to them. An audit trail you can trust is worse than having no audit trail at all. Next, the attachment branch. If the message had no files, the workflow skips drive entry and goes directly to the log. If there was a photo or a document, it downloaded it from Telegram and uploaded it into the client folder, using the same folder ID that came from the roster and the resolved name. Then the row go into Google Sheet log, and I get a confirmation back in Telegram with the client name at the confidence. The last phase ran on its own schedule. It pulled the next 7 days from Google Calendar and the 4 log from Google Sheet and merged them. The merge is set to append, not to combine. And that matter. Combine would cross-join every calendar event against every log row and hand the model a mess. Gemini doesn't get raw spreadsheet rows. It gets a clean object with one entry per client, less structured to hallucinate about. The prompt caps the brief at 140 words. One line per client, red flag under 3 days, yellow under 7, and no greeting. I don't need an agent to wish me good morning. The result goes out to one Telegram message. And that's the complete client project or other workflow. Telegram for input, Gemini for understanding, Google Sheet as the roster, and the audit log, Notion the client-facing timeline, Drive for files, and Calendar for morning brief. The workflow is on my n8n profile. The link in the description, and thank you for watching this video. See you in the next workflow.